Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jerome Gaiman, your host for On Point, and with me is my able, highly intelligent co-host, Mr. Thule. Mr. Thule, how you doing there, sir?
I am doing excellent, Mr. Gaiman.
How's the family? How's your son? How's the wifey?
Yeah, well, everyone is doing excellent here. Just we're in another. We've been in a cold spell now for maybe 3 weeks almost, and it's very cold here. But besides that, we're good.
Well, Canada is usually cold, but I can see light at the tunnel, and it's not a train coming towards you. It is the summer or the spring is about a month or two away, and you should be fine. But today we are going to be discussing issues already on the ground. I think when you and I were discussing, there's so much going on in Liberia. We had even issue picking the topics, but we're able to settle on few things that we are, and I think the community has interest in. So let's look at the topics for today, and then we take it from there. We want our audience to get engaged. Let's discuss the issues because they affect everybody. I'm talking about Liberia, our nation, our psyche, our culture. So today is a potpourri of actually social issues, and we're going to delve into those issues. But let's start with the list of things that we are going to be discussing. And if you are in the audience, you will see a scroll across the line. Now, our show is into 3 segments. We're going to do the introduction. We're going to do some discussion. Then we're going to pause. And then we're going to take questions. We're going to answer or respond to some of the comments. If you care to call in, you want to have a question, you want to debate, or you just want to make a comment, we also have that segment. And then we go into our closing section, which is basically a summary of what we have discussed. So let's get the ball rolling here. Liberia has been very, very active this past week or so on social issues, topics that are burning. I have received a lot of email inbox, and I think you do the same thing too. But let's look at the state of the opposition. We're going to be looking at that. We are going to be looking at what is it that is going on the ground that is actually making our people tick. And let's look at those subjects that we're going to be discussing. First of all, we want to talk about this. I don't want to say whether it's the famous or infamous book about President Weah. We need to discuss that book, or what this noise is all about. Is this a gimmick? Is it a marketing ploy? We're going to look at that, particularly the chapter 13. For those of you who have read it, I have not read it. I have read just an excerpt that people have been sending me. It's not one of the books that I would usually buy to read, so I won't buy that book, but we'll follow the trend. We want to look at chapter 13, and then subject right under chapter 13 is the case, in this particular case, the writing of this book and the author, is he being very vindictive? You have a friend, and the view, George Thule and I, we are good friends, and then he hits the lotto in Canada, you get $1 billion. Am I entitled to a little cut because he and I are very good friends, and our families, we are all brothers and sisters? Am I entitled to something? And if he says, no, I'm not, does that make him my enemy? Does that create some friction? Do I go after him? Do I become vindictive? Is this the case with Weah Tukba and George Weah? How did we get here? Then let's look at what should be the role of Liberian women in this conversation. Someone sent me a note. A friend of mine from Fortville in Grand Bassa County sent me a note in my inbox and say, we heard you married a woman from the Caribbean. George, we are married a woman from the Caribbean. So you guys are putting the Caribbean women against our Liberian women. And he said, according to Weah Tukba, Caribbean women 1, Liberian women 0. So you see where our politics is going. Politics is now headed into our politics are now headed into the bedroom. Then we want to go into what should be the role of the women. And I received another call late last night from an intellectual out of Liberia. She belongs to a group they call the Mature Discussion Group. And in that group, they are saying they are taking exception to the chapter 13 that Mr. Ava wrote, that our Liberian women are lazy in bed. And she is saying, okay, if that's what the men want to say, do you really want to know what's going on in the bedroom? And she says, and I am ready. She said, we are ready to defend our womanhood. She said, when the Liberian man get into the bedroom, the first thing he does is turn the lights off, close the window, bring down all the blinds, and the room should be completely dark. She said, that's just a starter. And they are willing to have that debate.
Man, stop game, man.
Yes. So what is the role of the Liberian woman in this particular debate? They have something in politics we call unintended consequences. There are a lot of byproducts of this book that may hit all sectors of our society beyond politics, and they call it social change, and that's good. Then let's go to sex and taboo in our culture, in our society. Then let's look at threat in the Liberian chambers. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, a Liberty partisan took a hot cup of boiling water or tea and dumped it on the head of another lawmaker in the upper house, when we don't have an upper house and lower house because they are all equal in our system.
The water wasn't boiling. The water was not boiling water.
We know it
was warm tea.
Well, tea comes to a boil.
It was warm tea.
Okay,
it did not cause any.
Mr. Tule, it wasn't wasted on you, so you say it was warm. But the guy who sold it said it was hot. It was hot. So we knew this. Now, in the House of Representatives, we are seeing folks are threatening to beat. I don't know when they say beat, we will beat you, whether it is physical beat or we'll beat you in district number 10 or physically to actually lay you down, give you 25, like we used to say in the old day, give you 25 latches. Someone is saying, Mr. Chorus Grace says, the next time that Yekeh Kaluba comes on the floor and use invectives against our president or curse our president, we will, according to him, quote unquote, we will beat him or we will beat you. We're going to discuss that. What does that mean? And then something that caught the attention of my own brother, Tule, he wants to know what is the role of the legislature? Do they know their role? Do they have a job description? I know everybody says, oh, my cardinal responsibility is lawmaking, oversight, and something else. They always come out. Are just those the responsibility of a lawmaker? We will delve into that. Liberty partisans in the CPP, from what we are understanding, the Temple of Justice is the new office of the CPP because Uri Sue Cummings sues somebody, Ability Sue Dillon, and then recently, the partisans sued, Liberty partisans sued Ability for altering their constitution. So the Temple of Justice basically is the housing unit, is the office, is the headquarters, the executive suite of the CPP. So these are the topics that we are going to be discussing. Mr. Tule, I know you want to go first. What says you about this new book, particularly chapter 13? What usually precipitates, what usually brings out something of this nature?
Mr. Gaiman, you set out your premise, and I would disagree with certain things from the word goal, and I would agree with certain things. One of the things I really want to disagree with from the word go is that there was some uh, desire to get back at George Weah. Yeah, okay. Somebody could say that from their perspective, from where they stand, but no, no, no. That wasn't really what I really want to disagree with you. Let me correct myself. When you said that the book was written because he didn't get job from Judge Weah, and you made the analogy of somebody winning the lottery and everything, and the being president of Liberia is not like winning the lottery anyway. But let's stick to the facts. If there's any one single individual that is responsible for George Weah being president of the Republic of Liberia today, is Azif Atuba. If there is one single individual that you can point to and say, among all the people that helped George Weah in his journey to becoming president of Liberia, Azif Atuba will be first on that list. Nobody else will surpass him because he took George Weah when George Weah was basically a nobody in terms of education, in terms of his desire to be president of Liberia. George Weah was somebody in terms of the world of sports. That was it. It was Azif Atuba and the Zakaman, the rest of them that sowed that seed in James Colley them. They sowed that seed of presidential ambition into George Weah. And we see where we are today. And many times I contended with Azif Atuba and I told him, I said, look, there's no way that George Weah will use your brain to govern Liberia. So if you think that coming to president, George Weah becoming president, he will obviously from the get-go be able to produce what you imagine that he's going to produce, and say you'll be disappointed and the rest of us along with you. Azif Atuba and George Weah, I know it's no secret to you, they've been friends for a very long time. When George Weah stayed in America, his whole sojourn, getting his first degree, his second degree, Azif Atuba was central to this whole thing. And I don't want to create problem for anybody here, but they ran in the same circles, right? They did the same things that people talked about. So reading what was written in that book, I am sure, because I know the reason why I say this. I have a friend who is a mutual friend of the both, and he ran in the same circles with them too, and the same circles with them. And years ago, he narrated some things to me about the tendencies of Weah and how he sought to dominate his colleagues or his friends in the group, and the things that they would do and the discussions that we had. So when I saw this, I knew it wasn't a lie. I know because I know how these guys talk. When George Weah became president, why didn't he give Azif Atuba, who is arguably one of his best thinkers, Azif Atuba and Tuiwa Harris? They wrote what later on that CDC could put forth as a platform. CDC did not have a platform. It was through our arguments that we told them, look, you guys don't have a platform. Then they put something together and they brought it to present it as a CDC platform. Okay, those two gentlemen, none of them were invited to work with Weah. Why? The reason why Weah will not work with Azif Atuba is not because of anything other than the fact that he is uncomfortable with this guy's ability to think and reason. He's uncomfortable with the guy independence. He rather deal with people who they will have that codependency. He depends on them, they depend on him, they have a codependency. No. With Tuba, you will have a complete independence. There will be no exchange of dependencies between the two of them. Weah was aware of that. So he didn't want such a man coming in government. To him, in other words, in Ghana, we say the man too know. Weah doesn't want to deal with somebody who too know. Weah want to deal with people.
But let me push back. For those of us that have been in leadership, and I think you may have been in college or high school leadership, and from what I understand,
I've been in actual leadership, Mr. Gamer,
right,
from the church to the community to offices. I ran departments, so I've been in leadership.
That's correct, and you ran your own business as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that in leadership, this is what they call a team. And we always say this, it's a common cliche, there's no I in team. You put a team together, they are men and women that are on par with your vision, with your with agreeing with the outcome, and the ability to work along. Where you are, your position, you work along and you push the head. You push the agenda of the leaders. I would not bring anybody in my government, in my establishment that is totally independent of what we are doing here. We have a proper agenda. We have a vision. If you do not subscribe to that vision and my thinking and where I want to take my dream, obviously you are not coming on board. So this, like I'm saying to you, this is a clear manifestation, and now that President Weah have been vindicated. A man who is a leader in the corporate boardroom or in politics. If you and I sat here backstage, whatever we discuss, how's your family, how's your children, and all of these things. And if I told you, listen, my son was ill this week or something like that, we discuss that. And if you have the gall, the mitigating gall, to write that and say, Jerome told me one time that his son was sick and all that stuff, that person, it is not worth it or being on any team for that matter. And at our vast age, at this stage of our lives, to be unemployed, he cannot come back to the United States and look for a job at the age of 55, 60 to do what? Entry level position. So at this point, it's time to establish a legacy. Go ahead.
You are mixing issues here, Mr. Gilman.
No, I'm not mixing it.
No.
I'm telling you why this man is not worthy of being on any team.
No, and you're wrong, because his independence does not mean that he doesn't subscribe to the tenets or to the values of CDC. Matter of fact, I have been on Facebook as a member of the opposition for the last 11 years. And in the last 11 years, I've dealt with Isaac Tupa, and he has been the flag carrier of the CDC on the social media. Not only that, he has been one of the brains behind where anything respectable coming out of CDC. When everybody had a reason to leave CDC, Isaac Tupa stuck with CDC. Even when he was basically denied an opportunity to function. You think George Weah denying Isaac Tupa or ministerial position or ministerial appointment affects Isaac Tupa alone? It affects George Weah's legacy. Because among everybody, you cannot even compare the Nathaniel McGill or the Samuel Tuah to Isaac Tupa. That's just the truth. In terms of the ability to think, in terms of the ability to put forth ideas, in terms of the ability to be able to sell those ideas to people who hold contrary views. None of them can be compared to Isaac Tupa. Just the reality.
I disagree with that.
Hold on, let me. Yeah, okay. You disagree. I agree. I agree. You disagree. But we can see the results. We see the governance. We see the governance structure that have been created by these individuals. We've seen what they have done for Liberia to date. We can see the vibrant country they took from Madam Serif to a certain extent at 60%. And we see right now they managed to reduce it to be sub 30%. They haven't created jobs in the private sector. They've held on to they kept the status quo in the government in terms of job creation. They haven't created jobs. The economy is in free fall. Inflation is at a very high rate in Liberia. Their plan for tackling inflation have been to print more more bills, more money to be able to tackle inflation or to be able to tackle the economic free fall. And we all know anyone who subscribes to that only digs a big hole for the country going forward. It may be able to mitigate the immediate circumstances, but trust me, you're digging a hole for the future. Okay, so let me go back to Isaac Tupa again. The book, the issue here, I want us to stay on course a little bit. The book, Isaac Tupa, because I have to stand and speak from what I know. From the years I've dealt with seditions, the Akaras Gray, the James Gray, the rest of them. I told you, I was at George Weah radio station for 4 years, and not as a paid employee. Nobody paid me 5 cents on that radio. While I was there, I used to go to CDC headquarters. They all thought I was sedition. Let me be honest with you. Even my mentor, Bronskin, people went and told him, said George has led Liberty Party. He not joined CDC. Because we have seen him on CDC compound. They didn't know what I was trying to do. Okay? So I got to know the CDC crap. All of them government today that block me on Facebook. I ain't got a problem with it. But the fact of the matter is, when we look at all of them, their net contribution to the party, as if I talk about the intellectual brain that sustains CDC.
Joe Tule, I have to disagree with you. I talk about when we are talking about the ideologues, the technocrats, the brains in the CDC. I talk about will not be one of those that will be counted in that.
Who are they?
Okay, let me.
No. You will not run away, Mr. Gimme.
No, let me just. When we talk about the thinkers in the CDC
give me names. I'm talking about now. I'm talking about. I said who sustained CDC.
Everybody claimed to be the sustainer, the progenitor of the CDC. You talk about people like George Soros, Asif Atokwa, you talk about the Zakama, whoever these guys are. Everybody claims to have been the progenitors of CDC. We are talking about the brains of the CDC. You talk about Medab. We talk about Medab. Toy is a brain in the CDC.
Who Toy?
We talk about McGill. What?
Which one of the 12? Who McGill?
You don't know which McGill. You don't know who is the finance minister. You don't know who is the secretary of state for presidential affairs. You don't know Jefferson Koji. These are the brains that are running the country. Okay. Now you talk about the economic free fall. You talk about the inflation. Just yesterday, even President Biden spoke to inflation in this country at 37% is the 40-year high, the highest in 40 years. And Biden made it clear that inflation is a major impediment to the economy of this country. If inflation is killing us in America, what would you think in Liberia? Now let's look at the Central Bank of Liberia. Please. You saw what the World Bank and the United States Embassy just put out Friday, that the Central Bank for the first time has put in place policies that are considered win-win on the as international standard at best practice. These are not regular folks that you think, well, because they are in the government. So President Weah brought in the right kinds of people, and we are getting the results. He said it. Everything, there were no system in place. Central Bank, of all places, Central Bank is now being recognized by the international community as being re-standardized, and it's working. So Johnson,
somewhere.
As the Vatukba is being vindictive, okay?
You jump all over the place.
No, listen. Azifah is being very vindictive, and he thought that by writing this book, he would have put the Liberian women against George Weah, but it backfired. And now he is now out of a job, and he's leaving the country, and he's back here. Azifah Tukba does not fit this mold. Azifah Tukba does not fit where we are going, and it's obvious.
You're doing this again, and this is beneath you, beneath our discourse. Somebody can just start shouting. It's not because you shout something makes it the facts. Mr. Gamer, you don't know about these things. Not because you support. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Not because you support CDC means you know about these things. How many times during the time Ellen was president, you went on CDC compound and held what will I say? Impromptu meetings with the seditionists and spoke with them and got their views. How many times you did it?
I was not at that level.
That's what I'm saying.
I was a consultant. I'm a consultant. Okay, I'm not at that level.
Okay, I agree. You're a consultant. But I'm telling you now, Azifah Tukba has been central. This is indisputable. He's been central to George Weah as an individual, his education,
and even his ascendancy to the presidency. You can't take that away. As if Atuba was in George Weah's wedding. Okay? He was in George Weah's wedding. You were not there. I wasn't there. And I'm telling you, I can call the names of people when we off the show. So you can call them and find out if they spoke to me about these things. They were there. These people were with them. They rode elevators together. They were able to confide in me and tell me some of the discussions that were held. Mr. Gimme, I'm not talking for fifth party Liberian people talk. What I'm saying, let's go back to the book. Was Asif Atuba wrong looking at our sensibilities as Liberians? Was he wrong for describing the way he described the lurid details of what the president told him in the book? Yes.
If told him.
He told him.
How you know?
Okay, hold on.
He have no recording.
Hey, man, you just did that
I could say anything. Anybody can say that.
Yeah. Okay. Guess what? Anybody can say anything, but you know what thing? What thing is consistent, even though it's spoken, established or not, is the truth. The truth is always there, and it's always an established fact.
So who's true? Who's truth?
Okay, no. We're talking about the fact that something happened. It's not just
we are saying it never happened. It never happened. It's fabrication, vindictiveness, jealousy, envy.
Okay, hold on. If we do like this, when you give me like 1 minute, then you can come in and talk. I'll give you time.
Go ahead.
There's nothing vindictive about this. These guys wanted to sell a book, and the more graphic and the more factual the dialogue or the discourse in the book was, the better it was for them. And they made their play. Where they got it wrong is where I'm going. Describing in such detail a lady who is presently or currently the first lady of the Republic of Liberia, they knew that it would elicit such responses from the people. They knew about us. They knew our sensibility in Liberia. They were very wrong for speaking about the first lady like this, no matter how her low-down husband described her. There are certain things. I'm from Lofa County. My father would always say to me growing up, men can say everything. It's not everything that enters the ears of a man, he repeats. All right? So as a result, if you ask me, Asif Atuba was very, very wrong. And I made post about it on Facebook. Now, I defended his right to his liberty and due process in case he was arrested by George Weah and taken to court for speaking about his wife in such a way, whatever crime they will find against him. But I'm also one of those that would say, I, as an individual, had never entertained any friends in my whole life, even as a kid growing up. Once you came around me, you myself became friends, and you started talking bad about women, start describing them in ways that are demeaning, your friendship must, because I don't have a stomach for that. That's me. I don't have a stomach for that. I can't stomach that. So, but there are men who, even as old as they are, can still sit down and discuss women in ways that are very disrespectful. I got two mothers. I always told you. I have two mothers whom I love equally. People can say I love them equally. I'm just closer to my stepmother than my biological mother. That's just the truth. My stepmom and myself, the bond that is between us is unbreakable. We're closer than even sometimes her own biological children can say, you close to our mom more than even us, because of the relationship she and myself have. So my biological mom knows that she can only go to a certain extent and she can't go further than that, because my stepmom is my mom. That is just the reality. But I will say this to you, that I got 10 sisters. Nobody, I don't tolerate such things from people talking about women like that. So they were wrong for speaking about the first lady in that manner. Not because they heard it, but they wanted to sell their book. And guess what? A lot of people have bought the book because of those lurid details that are in the book. Now you say anything else you want to say, go ahead. Let me give you
Mr. Thule, I think you and I, we have a lot in common. you being, I guess, you're liberal to some degree, but your attitude is mostly conservative, as those of us who come from the conservative background, but leaning liberal. I have three girls, two of whom are twins. I got only one son in this house. So I am four. We got four women here against me. I'm just the only guy in the house now that my son is on campus, and it pains me not only that it was the first lady, but women in general. When I know he has a daughter and he has a wife, okay, to sell a book. This is why when you and I guess when you were in school too, in the United States, there's something from kindergarten. They teach something called character counts. And we beat this in the heads of these kids because, like the old folk used to say, whatever you say in private, you should be able to say in public. Because your character matters when no one is looking or no one is listening. So this is where we come from. Then you look at somebody like this guy that you're trying to maybe deify. You try. I'm talking about the Azeva. You say he's a brilliant guy. If it's so, what part of his brain was he using? I mean, for God's sake, to sell a book that you're going to damage the character of your wife, your daughter, women. I mean, everybody, every woman that you
Wait,
ever come
the
in
book, how
contact with.
did the book damage the character of his wife, Mr. Gaiman?
What?
How did the book damage the character of his wife?
It damaged the character. I mean, this man besmeared the character of all women.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it damaged the character of his wife.
Oh, listen. No, it says a lot about the man and the woman who will pick him as a husband. So all of these things have. Anyway, we spent too much time on this.
Man, you are no. We will not leave. No, we can't just jump from the topic.
Okay. Now let me end this.
Hold on. You're about to go.
Yeah, but listen to
another topic. I have to say something.
Okay, but listen to this now. If 1 minute, if you are a thief and you are a murderer or whoever you are a crook, you are corrupt, your wife or woman who chooses you as a character that she loves and marries you, that woman herself has some questioning to answer. Go ahead.
Mr. Gaiman, you're going too far with this. The first thing about it is this. You and I know, in your heart of hearts that the president made that statement.
Nope.
That he wasn't quoted, it wasn't a fabrication. He made a statement.
He never did.
Come on. You can say anything because you will defend. In fact, you say Liberia is rosy, the economy is good, everything is fine, but Liberia, the economy is up, the country is booming. You haven't been to Liberia recently. Yeah, there are people who just came from Liberia to Canada. Friends of mine that spent months, took their entire family to Liberia. Go sit with some of them and find out from them. Let them tell you their true assessment of what is in Liberia. Go find out from the people who are struggling to feed their kids 1 meal a day. Okay, how bad Liberia is. But this is not the topic about that. This is the topic about, as if I talk about, was he right for doing this? Yes. You brought in the fact that, he was being vindictive. He was trying to attack the president because the president won the lottery. The president chose not to include him in the party afterwards. But I'll tell you something. Everybody knows the entire you like this. No matter what you and I say, the people out there know the reality. They know the reality that the only reason why George Weah did not include Asif Atuba in his cabinet was because he was being vindictive, or because he was being petty like Madame Salif. We all know. And we also know this fact, that his refusal to include this guy in his cabinet is only a menace to him, because this guy has something very much to contribute. If this guy was central to carving policies in CDC, sustaining the CDC, the intellectual life of the CDC for all these years, from 2005 to now. The guy was central to everything, 2005 to 2017. That was 12 years. As if I talk about, he was there. Everybody know that when it comes to who is Mr. CDC, is even though he was away in America, everybody knows. We all know of this fact. That's Azivatuba sustained the CDC intellectually. And you come to the power, and you choose to sideline him. Why? Because the man will stand with you and argue. He will be able to defend himself against you. He will not give you undue veneration. Okay, he won't give you undue respect. He won't give you he won't give you unmerited respect. Judge Weah is somebody who wants to demand that everybody in the room bows to him. Okay, I'm not talking about president. Now he's president, so everybody's supposed to still look up to him now. I mean, look up to him now because he's president. But I'm talking about when the guy was just an ordinary citizen, wasting money on a daily basis, particularly broke, depending on people like Ben and I, you were to buy him plane ticket. He wanted people that as if I talk about to when he speak and the thing about everybody know you are ignorant, and then you're trying to tell me who is well read, who is an academic, who is smart. You want to tell me something? I know I'm better than you, but the only thing you have better than me is your popularity and your ability to play football. Come on, Mr. Gayman.
I've talked about just vindicated President Weah for not bringing some vile character like this in his administration.
Oh,
let's move on to the second topic here.
All right, let's go ahead.
Let's look at violence in the Liberian chamber of leadership, in the Senate and in the lower house. I think sometime this week we saw where Honorable Akaris Gray threatened that if Yekeh Karuba, which I think has a mental health issue, comes on the floor and like you said, cursed the president, used invectives and unflowery words, unbecoming of a lawmaker on the floor, the well of the house, that he will or they will beat him. I want you to address what is going on here from the perspective as a Liberian, as a person in the opposition, but yet and still a person from the sense of decency. What is it that we are looking at here? And while we are in, we can also include the role of the legislature, the rule of decorum and all of that.
Okay, let me say this to you. I do not subscribe to using insults to communicate your feelings. Very early in my life, my mom will always just say, you have enough words in the English language to address yourself to something than to resort to invectives or vulgarities or insults. So I learned early on in my life how to use words, and I have not regretted it. I can express myself in the most civil way, but I can be very stern and curt because I've learned how to use words. I've learned words. Now, Yekeh doesn't have my education, my exposure. He's not me. He's Yekeh. And Yekeh is basically a one-man army. His back is always against the wall. So hence his outburst, his frustration. And look at the core of the issue with Yekeh. Yekeh has never insulted Ambassador Weah, President His Excellency, for being who he is as an individual. Yekeh has no quarrel with who Judge Weah is as an individual. Yekeh's quarrel, he enumerates these things every time he speaks. Yekeh will enumerate where he stands, where he differs with the president. He will state his case, one after the next, and to the next, and to the next. Yekeh is against the abuse of power. Yekeh is against the corruption. Yekeh is against the lack of service delivery. Yekeh is against what my brother Anthony here always say, the inability of the government to advance the material well-being of the common man. Because Yekeh is a common man. That's why the fact he's a representative. So Yekeh, do I agree with the language that he uses? No. But is it understandable that he speaks this way? Yes, because he's a man of little words. He's not highly educated. But also, again, he's always frustrated because he's alone. He's in the House of Representatives. I told you one time, someone was telling me, long time when Charles Bronski was alive, why didn't I run since my father left a legacy in Lofa County? And at that time, a lot of the people who were there, even up to now, they stay aware of who my father was, what my family had done for Lofa. My grandfather was associate justice. So people know that you can go in the House of Representatives and you'll be correct. You'll be okay. Like most of the guys that are there today. And I told them, I said, I can't go down there because every time they'll be fighting because you're alone. The fact is, the majority always wins the day. And Yekeh feels alone, especially with the death of Adolph Lawrence. When Adolph Lawrence was there, Yekeh had a big brother, a point of reference, somebody he could speak to, somebody he could channel his frustration through. And Adolph Lawrence was the voice of those that were in their camp. Adolph Lawrence's death broke the camp apart. It forced a lot of people to think again. This guy was speaking, he died. I don't think I want to be there. So Yekeh is alone. Yekeh is alone. He's one of the few persons calling for probity. Yekeh is one of the few persons calling for accountability. Before you come in, let me tell you something today. You see, Boffa Chambers that is in the House of Representatives today, the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Boffa Chambers was head of the UP caucus in the National Legislature under Madam Selig. And then with SIFCA, some concession agreement in Maryland County, Boffa Chambers wanted to detect the deal. He wanted his own people to take over the Kavala rubber plantation. And Madam Selig then, I think somebody else, maybe her son, was in favor of the SIFCA people. And is the level of seniority. Her son was the highest. If he said anything, it went. So Boffa Chambers did not get his people to take over the deal. And the SIFCA deal was given to that company, I think called SIFCA. And as a result, he became embittered and he and Madam Selig broke up. I spoke with Ketekume Murray. Ketekume Murray told me how Madam Selig called him and some other people into her office and told them that she would give them two things, access and finances, if they can kick Boffa Chambers out of being the head of the UP caucus in the House of Representatives. It happened. Boffa Chambers became embittered. He would come and sit with me. Boffa Chambers started sitting with me from Hot FM. I went to Kings FM. He came. He used to sit with me. We would talk about Madam Selig and everything. When Mary Braw talk about his name, Jala Lahine or whatever, it was after he left my show that Mary Braw made that pronouncement that he had this name and blah blah blah, all that about him. Where am I going with this? This guy is one of the biggest fraud, because the things this guy used to say against Madam Selig, for him now today to be Speaker of the House of Representatives and allow the kind of free room that George Weah has to operate, the kind of abuse of power that the executive is doing, the kind of things that they are passing into law, okay, the things that the leeway he gives the executive to allow, he's a fraud. So Yekeh is against Boffa Chambers, who is a fraud. Yekeh is against George Weah, who is also a fraud. Yekeh is against his entire executive and even his own compatriots, his own fellow colleagues, the people in the House of Representatives from all parties, including Liberty Party, who have rubber-stamped previous governments and who are rubber-stamping this particular government. So Yekeh sees this and it frustrates him, and so he shouts. He raises his voice. The only way you can be heard is to keep speaking loud against the humdrum. So let me tell you, as much as we disagree with his language, we have to accept the process, because there is no way he can keep speaking by himself if he just stays in the corner and talk.
Well,
bring attention to the things that he's saying, he has to shout, and sometimes he has to insult so that he can get his message across. Do I agree with everything he does? No,
Mr. Thule,
I agree with his fight.
Mr. Thule, you as an educated person that just use the word process. First of all, the executive is not fraud, and Speaker Chamber is not a fraud, and the Yekeh's compatriots are not all fraud. They are not. They were duly elected by their own folks. They came over there just as he did. Like, I agree with you that he's a nitwit. I agree with you that he's a misfit. I agree with you that he's a political vermin. I agree with you that he doesn't belong there.
No, but I
But
never said he's a
don't
political
listen to
vermin,
this.
so you're not agreeing with me.
Listen to this.
No,
I
no, no,
agree.
no, no, no,
You,
correct
no,
yourself.
you are saying because he's less educated,
That doesn't mean
he's
he's a
just
political vermin.
frustrated. But you, even the educated ones among us, knowing that it's a process. If you are in the minority will have their say, but the majority will have their way, as we say here in the United States.
But that doesn't make him a political vermin.
That's what it is. The minority can say all they want to say.
It doesn't make him a political vermin.
He is, because guess what? If you have a policy, if you have a change, you have an amendment, it's put into writing and submitted to the leadership, and it goes into committees. If it comes out of committees, fine. If it dies in committee, that's just what it is. You accept it because that's the process. If Yekeh Kaluba he's part of the opposition that has more membership in both houses. If he was somebody who is influential, somebody who is a trendsetter, he will convince other folks to see things his way. But let's go to the dress code that brought this whole thing on him. Yekeh Kaluba feels that because he's not been listened to, so he would throw tantrums. He does it on a usual basis. The dress code of the house is very, very clear. You have to be in a formal attire. And they express what the attires are. If you are wearing your propose suit, the propose suit, remember this, if you are wearing a propose suit, it's allowed. If you are a woman, you cannot go sleeveless. We know that. How do I know this? That's the rule, because it was basically copied verbatim from the United States. Women cannot wear open-toe shoes in Congress. You cannot wear jeans. You cannot wear T-shirts. All of these things are things that are written in law. If you came to the house and they told you that you were not dressed, okay, let's say on this particular occasion, other people were dressed similarly. The crime that he has, well, not crime, but the violation here is that he is a habitual offender of the rules. He's a habitual breaker of the rules. That's why the Speaker of the House read the rule and said, get him out of here. He does not belong here. He has violated the rules.
Come on, man.
That's how it works.
There wasn't any violation of any rule.
The rules, the dress code was violated. Now let's go to, let's say the lawlessness is not only limited to the House. Let's go to the Senate. The former chair of the Liberty Party, the former political leader, suspended political leader of the Liberty Party, Senator Nyobli Kanga, took a hot cup of tea and dumped it on another colleague in the Senate. In the Senate, what does this say about the psyche? Is our entire nation traumatized? I
thought we were talking about Yekeh. We didn't even finish.
No,
Yekeh.
we are talking about the state of affairs of the Liberian legislature.
No, we're talking about Yekeh.
I'm okay. Then make the connection.
No. When people take their time to come and listen to us, we should be able to have a conclusive discussion on these issues. We are through them.
We are.
The issue on the ground. No. Let's take it time by time, because one of the things you're running away from was the fact that you had two representatives from the CDC, Foco and Gray, two political non-entities, who have contributed nothing, no net gain to the Liberian people since they've been there. The only reason why Gray will continue to retain his position election after election cycle is because he's from CDC. But I think his stature is diminishing greatly, and there will be people who will challenge him. But just that the fixed nature, and CDC means, in other words, the lack of opportunity. CDC means ignorance. Majority of people who have voted for CDC, the majority, I'm not saying everybody, but the majority of the people who have voted for CDC have not voted for CDC based on ideological lines. They voted for CDC based on the popularity of George Weah and the fact that the man got good heart. But we've seen today that good heart does not actually translate to good governance. So, but let's look at the two men who spoke against. I've seen the video where Gray is explaining to people that if Yekeh ever goes into session again and insults the president, that they will beat him. Because he know he alone can beat Yekeh, so he said they will beat him. So he's hoping now to go and meet people at Foko, younger men and other people who can jump on Yekeh. But they forget to know that everything doesn't only, even in our house, there are people there who are not, they may not say anything, but they won't stand for Yekeh and Foko to jump on me, for Gray and Foko to jump on Yekeh to fight. It won't happen, okay? Because nobody's going to allow that kind of physical assault in the House of Representatives. But I think Yekeh can also defend himself. Okay, I believe I know he's a small stature, so somebody can look at him. But I wish I was there for somebody that Akara's great to look at me and say, if I was the one inclined to insult President Weah because or call him out because of his malfeasance and because of his lack of governance, his abdication of his role, the abdication of the office, the powers of the presidency, he has abdicated his role and given it to excuse me, Nathaniel McGay and Samuel Twe. If I was the one that had such inclination to use very descriptive, very, very Sunday school words to describe George Weah, I wish Foko and Gray would stand in front of me and say they come in to fight, because that one, the beating they will receive, I'll be beating them from inside until reach Osa. And that fight will never finish. That my part of fight don't finish. Yeah, thank God for Jesus. Because that anywhere I pass in the streets, I see you standing somewhere, I stop my car again, the fighting continues. Yeah, but he knows. You see, they say raccoon know what kind of tree to clean a nyash on. That's the reality. Somebody that great. Can't even say, because for me, if you say that thing to me, you already feel attacking me. So that means the fighting has started already, because we'll just be going on. And as a member of the House of Representatives, I got certain protection in me under the law. So that the police will be divided or carried on to the police station. And I know they'll put me inside, but they will free me because I will post bail. And then the fighting will continue, because you can't look. Let me tell you something. Like I said, Yekeh is frustrated. And the reason Yekeh is frustrated is because Yekeh is saying that all the members, I'm saying from every political party, the only thing they're there for is self-interest. All these people, they're there for self-interest. I say, okay, let me say this to you. When what's his name? When Adolf Lawrence was alive, he was building a coalition. He was building a coalition on ideology that Liberia is better than this. We can do better, and we can demand better of the executive. He was building a coalition. He died. People say he was murdered.
Wasn't Lawrence one of the most corrupt people in the Liberian lower house? Wasn't he one of those that got caught up in the ordeal? What are you talking about? Adolf Lawrence, man. Adolf Lawrence was the ordeal where he called himself of someone who only took the money and divided it. This man was corrupt.
Everybody was corrupt in the national legislature, but you know the difference? And Lawrence was part of the CDC. But guess what? There comes a time when enough is enough. We've seen, it's not the first time we've seen live people with shady characters or people who have been accused of corruption get up and say, no, enough is enough. Let's try and change things. And he became an agent for change. That's why you
told the Dayton line now he was Saul, now he was Paul, huh? He turned to Paul.
He changed. Listen, he changed. That's the reality. Not everybody has a past. Let me tell you something, Mr. Gibbon. I will tell you the thing about Liberia today. If you went to Liberia and say you're looking for a man who have worked with government, whatever position, and who have been completely 100% free of corruption, you will not find it. You won't find it. Because Liberia, our systems, not only in terms of national government, but our system is completely corrupt. And survival sometimes forces people to do things that they're not supposed to do. I am not excusing the past of Adolf Lawrence. But I'm telling you now, he was building a moral minority in the House of Representatives. And Yekeh subscribed to that. And Yekeh was a member of that coalition that he was building. And he was the head of that coalition. He was the voice of that coalition. So Yekeh didn't have to cuss. When Adolf died, Yekeh was forced to the front because all the other people shied away. So Yekeh had to come and be expressing himself. And the man has few words. So what do you think he would do? When he gets frustrated, he curses. That's all he does. But the reality is, what is he talking about? What is his message? Is he just cursing President Weah because he hates him? No. He's cursing him because the man is inherently corrupt. It's just the truth.
Well, Mr. Tule, I disagree with you. President Weah is one of the best presidents, if not the best president we have had since 1822. And it's very clear. Look at what President Weah is doing for this country. Look how far he has brought us within the past just 4 years.
Where has he brought us?
Excuse me?
Where has he brought us?
I just gave you examples of the letter that was just written by the World Bank, that he has transformed the Liberian Central Bank to an international acceptable international standard. You can't deny this, man. You cannot deny these things. You cannot deny that when we took power, when President Weah took power, inflation was at 30%. It's down to 7.5%. The World Bank, I mean, what are you talking about?
It's not true.
Well, listen,
in Liberia.
Okay, we are running out of time here. I know you will say this, but let's go to the Senate. I won't let you get off the hook here. When the chair lady, the suspended chair, or the suspended leader of the Liberty Party, when she took the hot boiling cup of tea, you say warm, well, you know, according to you is warm.
She's not suspended.
Okay, she is suspended. In fact, will be expelled in another.
Doesn't have the right to suspend.
Now listen to this. According to NEC, the 2021 Constitution is what we are going by. And according to the Constitution of 2021, Nyori Kanga Lawrence is suspended. She wasted hot water on another colleague in the Senate. Isn't that violence?
Mr. Gimmer, the first thing, I always left for us to establish the fact. She is not suspended. Musa Belete, let me tell you something.
It's the fact. You cannot deny that.
It's your fact.
According to the NEC, the 2021 Constitution is by which we are now operational. And that Constitution gave
Mr. Gimmer.
Yes.
The NEC create Liberty Party.
Listen to this. I'm going by the law. I'm going by the law. The next is the only authorized institution in the country that governs elections and political parties. They have made a decision.
So why did the court?
The decision is that the 2021 Constitution that brought Musa Belete to power is the recognized Constitution of Liberty Party. So Mr. Belete is close with all the authority to do whatever he's doing. So she's suspended, but that being put aside, let's go. What that has to do her wasting hot water on another colleague in the Senate.
We have together this issue. It was based on frustration. And it was based on sending a very strong message. Let me tell you something. It wasn't
tell me what frustration is that? How you in the Senate? Is that how you send? Is that how you send strong message? Wasting hot water on somebody?
You always have issue with this lady. She wasn't stupid to waste hot water on anybody.
She did.
You know what that would constitute? That would constitute an assault.
But she did.
She did not. Excuse me. She wasted tea. Tea. The British would drink cold tea. The Chinese drink cold tea. So it wasn't. Listen, the water wasn't hot.
Okay.
Because if you think I'm joking, I can find excerpts of the conversation that the senator had when they asked him about it. When you attack a woman, he attacked her. And
you are telling me that she was drinking ice. She was drinking iced tea.
I didn't say ice. I said the tea was cold. It wasn't hot.
So if it okay, what does that say about what does that say about the psyche of our nation?
Listen, sometimes let me tell you something. Our nation, we fine. Our House of Representatives and our House of Senate, we fine. We don't have clashes. Go to Nigeria, go to Indonesia, go to South Africa. They throw in other places. They throw physical punches in. There's a picture of Weah Millie in the Ugandan parliament.
I understand that.
We don't have.
We are not Uganda, Mr. Tule. We are not Uganda. You are here backing wrong.
I'm not
You are
backing
talking about
wrong.
assault. Somebody wasting hot water on somebody, and you say
if I piss off with you, let me tell you something, Mr. Gayman. The thing you're talking here, if somebody that me was a member of the House of Representatives, that different thing you'll be talking. Because guess what? Let me tell you something. It comes to a point where this issue of our people being left out of the governance process. They are only important when it's time to cast votes. That's the only time they are important. Nobody tries to add value to the common man. No one tries to improve the material well-being of the common man. That's something to throw punch about. Mr. Gayman.
Well,
hold on.
I think we're running out of time. Let's go to the comment section. Let's go to our comment section here.
We'll go to our comment section. Let me say something to you here. Today. In Monrovia, people call me and tell me that it takes 2 hours from Tinker's Village to ERBA Junction, less than 4-5 miles. 2 hours. People tell me that it takes 3 hours from Broville to Beer Factory. And there is no dialogue going on right now, ongoing dialogue, on how we can mitigate these issues and contribute to the well-being, just the psychological well-being. Do you know what it is every day when you have to, you're going home, but you're going to spend an additional 2-3 hours in the traffic.
Mr. Tule, what did have to do with your suspended political leader wasting hot water on somebody?
My political leader, that's in that old thing. I'm not going to really to get it here. The reality here, we're talking about Yekeh. It's not.
We are talking about the state of affairs of the legislature and what is the responsibility of the legislature?
Everything.
What do they do?
Yumbly wasted. Okay, so what you want to do to Yumbly now since you wasted? When nothing happened? When was it? How many years ago?
It doesn't matter.
Something that just happened.
It doesn't matter. It is part of your record.
What record? That she wasted? Yes. And guess what? It's a very good record.
Thank you.
A good record. Because let me tell you something. That's why I was going with this. Because nobody, and there are people in the House of Representatives who are standing against national advancement. There are people in the House of Representatives who are against the well-being, the good of the people. They only vote for how to feather their own nest.
So you waste hot water on them?
Some of them deserve more than hot water. That's what
you are saying that Foco and Mr. Gray should beat Yekeh Kolba because Yekeh Kolba deserves it? That's violence.
Oh, but sometimes let me tell you something. When it comes to Liberia, you know what happened in 1980 when people were fed up with 100 years of subjugation? People were fed up with 100 years of abuse. They killed the 13 men on the pole to send a message that we were fed up. Let me say this to you. A friend of mine who is a very good doctor in Liberia said something to me one time. He said, the only way Liberia will change, maybe we'll have to put people on the pole. I don't subscribe to that. But I'm telling you today that if you continue, if we, the educated ones, if we, the enlightened ones, continue to take the people for a disadvantage, take advantage of the people, go to them only when we need votes, but do not try to improve the school system in the country.
We are improving the school system.
Hold on now, Mr. Gayman. Do not try to improve the health delivery system in the country, making sure that it's accessible and it's affordable, and it has the ability to be able to provide health care to the people out there. If we do not try, to improve infrastructure, electricity, water provision,
and the president doing all of that.
Hold on, Mr. Gayman. Job creation, investment in agriculture, where our society, the key to our destiny lies. If the people continue to suffer and suffer and suffer, do not be surprised one day you have a popular uprising. I'll give you a common example. You have soldiers who are representing the views of the people. Look in Guinea, When the president comes out, the people, when they got Dumbuya, whatever his name is, when he comes out, see how the people go to serenade him. Mr. Gibbon.
Mr. Tule, you are talking apple and oranges here. We are talking about what does that have to do? Well, we're running out of time here. If Mr. C is there, can you put up some of the comments, please, so we can respond to it before we go to our last segment? I know we got about 15 more minutes here. Lawrence Powell, you say you haven't read the book, but you are making an opinion on the book. These representatives do not know their roles and responsibilities. These people are completely incompetent to be representatives. Well, Mr. Powell, we have a constitutional democracy. We elect people who look and sound like us. So if the representatives are incompetent, they were elected by incompetent people, maybe. Next. Nancy Jordan, that's not true. Do you know Ava? You need to be quiet. That's her opinion. I don't have to know him.
Now, not you. What I mean? Now, not you. That means that fake. This is a fake. This is a fake profile.
Oh, okay. And Margaret Mapu Dawson said, vindicated Jerome. Well. El Fedamino do stop this untruth, man. Hey, Miss Dyson, I'm telling the truth, and the truth hurts sometimes, but it's all right. More Morba, as if I was in Weah's wedding. We are gossip about his wife to Isaac. Gossip, we have no proof, we got no recording, we got no videotape, we got nothing writing. It's he said, she said. So I take it as that. Monday guy. I don't know whether this is a real profile, but that's not how we spend money, guy in Basa. You are right. Liberia has too many issues for us to be discussing gossip. Absolutely. More Moluba. They have dragged Liberian name in the mud. Center Street is a big dump. Truck driver, Tuet, does not understand economics, and President McGill go Weah as his bag boy. More Moluba.
But Mr. Gamer, before you read the next statement, I've never heard anybody say this, but this is the truth.
That's the truth.
Just said.
That's right.
President McGill has Weah as his bag boy.
That's right.
That's just what the man abdicated his role.
I know you like the bag boy because that's the coin that Bronski made famous. So when he mentioned bag boy, it went to your head. From Livingston again. Where are all these women groups who were protesting about the book? Yesterday, an AFL personnel beat a young girl, and she's hospitalized. Well, we have to collectively do that, and I'm glad you bring it up. We all got to investigate. We all got to call up. We all got to bring it up. It's not right. Mapu, Dawson is getting Jerome. Who are the brains in the CDC? Mr. Tule asked him about the brain running. Which country? I told you I named brilliant people everywhere in the Weah government. They got brilliant people everywhere. You name it. Every ministry got a brilliant guy. Even the guy at the central bank. The whole world said he one of the best they ever seen. In 174 years. Darcy again. It wasn't wrong to write book. Your first lady behavior is what the book a bad report about her. She did great. Capture her man's heart. Listen, Margaret, I've said this and I keep saying this. It is not Caribbean women against Liberian women. Whatever she did to capture this man's heart from among millions of women, kudos to her. Maybe we need to interview her. What is it that she did?
You just devalue our women. That's all. It's not just about him marrying
Eric J. Peabody, who is George Weah, that he is immune from ridicule and insults. Well, you see, the man is the president of the country. You have to discuss issues. You cannot discuss issues. No.
He's
you cannot do that.
He's not immune from insults.
We understand this, but if you have George Tule, if you have policy ideas, you can insult all you want. You get it nowhere. Put it into writing.
Some people find that that's their release. It's better for them. Yekeh, before he dies, He got to speak his mind.
There's another gentleman by the name of Tubman Snowolo. Are you the son of the late Jeremiah Tule of
Can you not
LCP?
read this? Can you not read this? Because this is salacious and it's useless. The person doesn't have respect for his own parents. That's the reason why he wrote this about my dad.
Well, listen. You said George Weah would do the same
Mr.
thing.
Mr. Gaiman, there's no listen here.
No, but George Weah is the father of children, and
yeah,
it's
but
the
guess
same
what?
thing.
Yeah, no. Listen, I never. You heard me ever say
Respond to that. Respond to that. Respond to that. Respond to him.
Yeah, but I said he has no respect for his parents. That's just what it is. Because guess what? Before you can come and say something about I don't know who he is. He's a nobody. He's a non-entity. Because I can tell you, you go and ask people from Lofa County. My father is a household name. My father is considered one of the pioneers of that county. Okay, so if somebody, because I'm speaking against CDC government, and you come and say, "Oh, your pa slept with what?" I mean, it's beneath me.
Yeah, but why would you be so upset? It is his opinion.
Oh, but at the same way, Yekeh opinion too. He has a right to express his opinion about George Weah.
Yeah, but not in Congress, not in the well of the House.
Anywhere. There's
no. Okay, let's go to the next. Let's go to the next comment.
There is a legislative law that says that they cannot be held responsible for anything they say.
No, you're reading it wrong. James Keller here. This Tule guy is a big disappointment. You want to be a political, must you be this way? These are the type of people who to be leader in Liberia.
To write.
Yeah, well, listen, I got what he's trying to say. For those of you who want to call you call yourself government in waiting, you sanction a woman wasting hot water, another lawmaker, you sanction this man, and you say that at some point, when you can't get your point across, you should resort to violence. That's the kind of person you are. That's what he's saying. Is this the government in waiting?
Let me say something to you today. Going forward, I do not subscribe to violence as a means of communicating your.
Well, you just did.
Hold on. Give me a chance. I do not subscribe to it, but guess what? At times, it becomes a necessity. Doesn't mean that I subscribe to it. Doesn't mean that I accept it. But I'm telling you, for some people, it becomes a necessity. Before, the only way the TWP government was going to end in Liberia, it had to be a violent overthrow. Did I subscribe to it? Till today, I repudiate the death of the 13 men. But at times, it becomes a necessity for change. What I'm saying to you today,
there is no room. There is no room for violence in any form in our society. Any form.
Okay, yeah, you got your point. That why you got your own mouth, I got my own. What I'm saying to you today is this. Since the inception of Liberia till today, the common man had never factored as a prime factor in any equation. No. What has happened is those in government have always used those that they are governing. It's always about self-interest, as my friend Alex Jones would say. So you know what happened? You know what I subscribe to now? I subscribe to people standing up and demanding change. And at times, that will cross the boundary into what can be quote-unquote considered an act of violence. But people need to stand and demand change in Liberia, bro. They demand change in Burkina Faso. The chase Blaise Compaoré. 27 years he was
Mr. Tule, I would never condone violence in any form. If you don't like your representative, vote him out. If you don't like her, vote her out. You have the most powerful weapon in the land, which is your vote. Vote them out. You do not need violence to get anybody out. Vote them out.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask you a question. Prince Johnson has been a member of the Senate since 2005 or 2006.
That's correct.
What net gain have the Nima people derived from the years that Prince Johnson has been in the
Oh,
house.
Prince Johnson has brought so much to Nima County. I won't
What?
even talk about the universities. You remember when he had, when he named some of the things that he had done by
What?
working with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, whether
To do
it was
what?
road, whatever the war development that was needed, he got them. And he did the same thing with this government.
Not because
He has
Ellen
done a
Johnson
lot for
said
Nima
excuse
County. Don't say that. It's not
Excuse
true.
me, sir.
Prince
I
Johnson
know
has brought
about it.
more to Nima County than the previous administration combined.
That's
Don't
not
say
true.
that.
What you call previous administration? Who are doing it?
You name
When-
those that came from
also-
Nima County
let me ask you a
that
question.
represented
When
Nima
Jackson
County
Dove-
compared to where we are at this point.
I'm asking you a question. When Jackson Dove Hospital was built, that Prince Johnson carried there.
Prince Johnson was in the administration, wasn't it?
What road was built in Nima County under Prince Johnson auspices?
When was that hospital built? Who built the hospital? Wasn't it Ellen?
Yeah, Ellen.
Okay. Didn't Prince Johnson and Ellen come to power at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go.
think
It's the
Prince
net,
Johnson had anything to do
net
with it,
impact. How you think Nima was chosen?
Mr. Gaiman, stop joking.
How do you think? Okay, guys.
Nima was chosen.
Let's go. Let's
Excuse me,
complete
sir.
it. Let's complete the comment.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
no, you asked a question. Nima was chosen. Nima was chosen because it was centrally located, that position. There is no referral hospital going that side. So Nima can benefit from it because Ganta Hospital is just a clinic anyway. So Nima can benefit from it and Grand Jide can benefit from it. That's why they placed the hospital over there. Not because it was strategic, not because of Prince Johnson. I'm saying people like Prince Johnson, Vani Sherman, a lot of these rhinos are in, not in terms of your Republican tingle. I'm talking about people who have been there very long. They have been in the in the legislature, and the Liberian people generally have not benefited anything from them. They don't stay. You don't even hear them speaking about the things that are germane to the lives of the poor people. Good schools, good hospitals, good roads. These things you don't hear them. The only thing they want to talk about concession agreement because they can get brown people. Man, Mr. Gaiman, let people hear me.
Let's read this comment. Mr. Gaiman, this discussion is not about Senator Lawrence. Your topic is the Weah book, CPP, co-battles, and Representative Yekeh being threatened. Why you hate Senator Lawrence with compassion, Mr. Gaiman? Francis, that's not true. Flomo Livingston, Mr. Gaiman, don't know his responsibility as a lawmaker. His job is to represent his people, not the president. I agree with you. Arthur S. Solo Sr., Yekeh is governmentally obligated to what? James Pinto, president doing everything. How about Tubman, who's still 20 years? That's correct. His godfather. Bacchus Yuan, Lars Nima was chosen because of him and because Ellen wanted him on her side. Obviously, it has a benefit. There you go. Somebody from Nima telling you. Flomo Livingston again, Yekeh have the right to defend himself if he's being attacked. Everybody has the right to defend themselves physically if somebody attacks you, but you got to live by the rules. Francis, NDC does not run Liberty Party, so there's no reason they will make decision for Liberty Party. But Francis, the law of the land says the NDC is the only organization, institution in the country that runs the affairs of all political parties. After S. Solo Sinner, you're telling me that it's okay to pour tea on someone, Mr. Tule? You saying?
I'm saying some people need to. We see
come on.
Going more than pouring tea.
Come on. Margaret Darcy, Jerome Gaiman, you are yelling. This is not Uganda. When you're all day, you are comparing Liberia to America. You say Uganda. I didn't say Uganda. He said Uganda. I didn't say anything about Uganda. Okay, true God. What do you expect? Bunch of confused losers call themselves opposition. Nonsense. I agree with you. They are confused. Francis, Gaiman, you are not different from the other seditious. I guess not. That's why they call me a seditious. Livingstone, what other laws has the other legislator passed too? One person don't pass law. That's what we're saying. You have to go out there and network with other folks so they can see things. That's what leadership is. Leadership is having people see things your way and doing what you want to achieve. That's what leadership is. So Yekeh Kobler doesn't have that. Tobasi, The lawmakers from the southeastern region are wicked. I mean, the senators and representatives from the southeastern region are wicked to their people, mother, father, brothers, and sisters. For example, you have about 14 representatives and 10 senators from that region, and no modern intercity highway system, no modern hospital, no modern university, no modern library, no modern park, no playground for kids, etc. And you call yourself lawmaker. Who are you kidding? Not me. Remember, listen, those things you name have never been in Liberia for the past 200 years. We are just recently building parks and hospital and highway. In 4 years, all this have been started. Margaret, again, by the way, George, we are not giving up. George tells a lot about Weah, a negative lot too. It proves to those with good observational skill and sound reasoning that George Weah doesn't want a straight team player on board. Margaret, that's not true. You always want somebody who is a team player. And he is not a team player. He's vindictive. And I try to be very, I think he's incompetent. Because a competent person wouldn't do that. Okay. Now,
wait. You see, this is where you just throw shades on other people's character and you want to walk away. Wouldn't do what?
Listen, a competent person. Listen.
Wait. You equate writing what I heard from you in a book to competence or incompetence?
Yes. It has something to do with judgment. It has something to do with judgment. And judgment goes to character, and character counts.
What character count? Listen, let me tell you something. As much as we can disagree with him for writing that stuff in the book, he heard a verbatim. He posted. He wrote what he's.
Listen, what was you believe him? He has no proof. He has no proof in this modern day. I want to see. I want to see recording. I want to see video. I want to see all of it. He has none. Aku have written that too. Aku have written that too. Huh?
To prove it to you?
To prove it to anybody.
Have anybody taken him to court?
Nobody need to take him to court because it's not.
Let me ask you something.
It's a fiction.
When you're sitting and talking, you record everything.
It's a fiction. It's a fiction.
You know when the conversation was held?
It doesn't matter. It's a fiction. It's a fiction.
When the conversation was held, phones were not what they are today. I hope you know that.
Listen, it's a fiction.
No, Mr. Gaiman.
It's a word. It's a word of fiction.
What you call word of fiction?
It's a fiction.
It's a boss.
There's no proof. Did he tell you the date and time? He recorded that.
Is George Weah above saying such things?
I didn't say that. I said he didn't say that because there's no proof.
No, George Weah.
There is no proof.
It's so sad that you.
There is no proof, George. I mean, George Truly, there is no proof.
I personally, listen to me. I personally have seen George Weah in circumstances and situations in Ghana. All right, that I only say okay that because he's a star, he's a footballer, so it's okay. I have seen him personally.
That's why you say hold on. It doesn't mean I will believe it. You can say it.
But guess what? Now it's the same thing I'm saying to you now. Mm-hmm. And guess you know what? A lot of Liberians alive today have seen George Weah in places where you wouldn't even expect.
That doesn't mean he said that. That doesn't mean he said that.
Completely immoral. So
that doesn't mean he said that.
The person I've seen doing those things, is capable. And I can tell you, somebody that was with them once in an elevator, and George Weah made certain comments in an elevator. The things the person told me makes me to believe that indeed George Weah said these things to Isaac Vatoba.
Listen.
And this was after George Weah was married.
We have gone over our time here, but let me tell you this. If you are in a court of law, you cannot indict somebody. No, listen to this. We're using logic here. You cannot indict somebody because of the past. You cannot say this guy killed somebody in Liberia 10 years ago, so most likely he killed this person. That's not how it works. Not because you saw or listened to George Weah say and do things mean that he said this. You can't do that.
Everybody
it's not so. This is a fiction. This is fabrication. It was never substantiated. Yeah, like you said, they're trying to sell books. But I want you, as we go into our closing, I want you to discuss What's going on in the CPP about this lawsuit? What is actually going on? Give me your own assessment.
What lawsuit?
All these lawsuits.
It's like, you're running all over the place. Anyway.
No, but it's right here. I'm looking at this.
No, yeah, but
Dylan got sued in the CPP. Dylan got sued.
You're leaving something.
Ability just got sued. Benetta Urim sued someone. Everybody's suing everybody in the CPP. And where is Joseph Weah in all this?
Excuse me. Joseph Weah got nothing to do with your court cases.
Where he's the leader of the chair. He's the leader of the CPP.
Excuse me now. Excuse me. Everybody knows that Joseph Weah has spoken to individuals privately, and nobody wants to listen. Yeah, but you don't know because you're not part of the cycle that I run in. So let me.
That's the leadership. That's the leadership.
That everything you can speak openly about. You see, you don't understand diplomacy. You understand. You understand the way CDC operates. CDC will poke.
You said George Weah wasn't speaking to the nation on everything. Wasn't that
forced to speak?
Huh?
This is not. If Joseph Weah were president, he forced to speak. But in terms of the private issues of party leadership,
this is not private issue.
It's private.
It's not lawsuit. It's not a criminal lawsuit in the CPP. It's not private.
Argue that
it is not private. Don't make it sound private. It's not private.
It is private.
No, it's not.
But it's not coming to come and stand and speak about things that are already in the court.
If you are a member of an organization and all your members are killing each other, you have to speak on it. You have to calm them down.
Excuse me. There is no CPP. So
what do you mean there's no CPP?
But there's no CPP. What are you talking about? The CPP, the framework agreement have been violated already. What are you talking about? One member carry another member to court from the team. The team broke already. Then what are you talking about? There's no CPP. Who told you there's a CPP?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just got a breaking news here from one of the intellectuals of the CPP. The defunct, according to him, the defunct CPP, there's no more CPP. That's a breaking news on our show here. Breaking news.
That you and I can have a collaboration and I take you to court. Where you saw that one happening? That you got to make an announcement about.
Mr. Tule, we're going over time. Can you close so we can?
No. What? Nobody putting pressure on us.
No. We got
5 more minutes.
The next show coming here. Go ahead. Use 5 minutes.
Yeah, hold on. But who told you the first thing about it? If you and I are in a collaboration, I take you to court. Who told you when you have a collaboration? Do you know what a lawsuit does to individual responsive relationships? It's the height. Is the most egregious form of a breakup. We're breaking up. And we making it that one high court said become separated to formalize the separation to go to divorce court. The case that Benedict Ure took because everybody was dilly-dallying with this CPP thing, thinking that it will work. Benedict Ure just took it to court, and it's like remove all the pretenses. It's over. When you were here, you, Mr. Gimen, that's why sometimes your hypocrisy astounds me. You praised the time Liberty Party went to court to pass an injunction. When Liberty Party went to court to pass an injunction on what's the name of the place? To pass an injunction on Berete. That is 20-man convention you said you're going to have. You were here praising the fact that Berete went to court in the night and got a judge to reverse the injunction. You were praising the court. The court in Liberia is the only place of solace for anybody. When we have issues, we go to the court to go resolve our issues. You yourself said it, you say you don't want violence. So the best thing to do for me is sue you. So the case between Ure and what's his name?
Cummings.
Cummings, for the resolution of the allegation against Cummings that he doctored their signatures, the best place to prove the case will be in court. Liberty Party said that Ability doctored the 2021 Constitution. The best place to test their version of events would be in court. I wouldn't just take somebody to court, but many times in life, the court is the best place to resolve the issue. Then you stop. You don't have to punch nobody. You don't have to slap nobody. Let the court decide who's right or who's wrong. But I'm telling you today, you say I subscribe to violence. I don't subscribe to violence. But I'm telling you, sometimes violence is the last resort. When people cannot, when you continue to trample upon the rights of the ordinary citizens forever, sometimes they will rise up. And when they rise up, it will not be an unpopular uprising, and it will not be according to how you want to script it. When people rise up, you don't determine what they do in the uprising or not. Okay? Sometimes in life, people will stand and they will speak based on the overwhelming force of the people. In Liberia, from the inception to today, our people have been taken advantage of by those in government. Nobody cares about the poor. Nobody cares about alleviating or mitigating the circumstances, the grinding poverty our people live in. So sometimes our people will have to stand up and demand it. The worst thing about Liberia, we have 70% illiteracy or semi-literacy rate. And as a result, the consequence of that is that our people are not engaged, they're not read, they don't understand the issues. So as a result, they are misled every time. These people stay away from them, but only come to engage with them when it comes time to elections. And it's wrong. And our people have been taken advantage of for too long. So the reality on the ground here is many of us don't subscribe to violence. What Yekeh did, what is happening between Dillon and what he named the Liberian case. He said Dillon say he's a criminal. Is it? Yeah, but is it new that he's a criminal? FIFA, the world governing body for football, banned a man for 10 years from all FIFA activities for his his roguish ways. The man is a criminal, common criminal. The man owed all the banks in Liberia. The reason why you see him sticking and trying to be kingmaker in Liberia, because he knows the only way he can gain protection, okay, from his loans being caught in by the banks in Liberia is when he close to power. Then somebody can call the bank president and say, get him in time. The man owes the bank millions of dollars in Liberia.
Okay, Mr. Thule, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you have listened to Mr. Thule defending the indefensible. But like he said, I have to agree with him. Whatever our differences are, the rule of law should always prevail. We have to go to court. When I see the CPP that gave Liberians hope, when Yomli Kanga, Dillon, and the rest of the folks roll on that wave of the CPP to come to power, and then all of a sudden, my brother here is telling us that CPP is dead.
Wasn't Yombly in the Senate before CPP was brought together?
Her term expired.
But she didn't ride on it.
But listen, her term expired, and as I can see, if you were in Grand Bassa County, you will have seen that Cummings spent a lot of time and resources there. Ability spent a lot of time and resources there. Ure spent a lot of time and resources there. Weah spent a lot of time and resources there. They did it as a group of people from the CPP. And Weah said one political party cannot win election anymore in Liberia. So let's agree with that. We have another show coming up. There's a particular show that I think will be coming up that you need to pay attention to. The woman's side of this issue. The Liberian women are taking offense to being called lazy, unsophisticated. They too have a say. And there's a platform here that I think we'll discuss that. We would like for you all to tune in. There are other things that we need to discuss in public. So there are things we call collateral damages. This particular bombshell that it thought was coming to destroy the president has not. Instead, it has ignited other conversation. A lot of good will come out of this book, and we'll have that discussion. Mr. Thule, thank you very much for being here. I know the next show is coming on, but it is always same time, same channel, same place, and we are very grateful to our parent company, Focus on Liberia, for being here, for doing the year in and year out. We want to appreciate the CEO and those who are helping behind the scene. And most of all, to those of you who tune in every Sunday or every day for the show that you like, as I've always said, please, if you have the time and you like what we're doing, please do us a favor and make a contribution towards this particular network so they can remain on the air. They have to pay the light bill. They have to pay, all the gadgets they use have to be paid for. Some are leased, some are rental. They have to be paid for. So I think they have the number that scrolls across. Please make your tax deductible contribution to Focus on Liberia. As always, we say, whether you are in opposition, in position, we all love our country. We have one thing in common. So we always end our shows with saying, we are all Liberians. See you next Sunday, same time.
Let me ask a question, please, before we go. Who won the African Cup of Nations? Please, we've been here, so we didn't follow. The people in the chat. Who won the finals, please, to all those listening? Nobody knows.
Okay, well, I'm rooting for Senegal.
So
I'm rooting for Senegal. I want to keep it. They have never won it before, and I'm hoping that West Africa will keep it. But anyhow, thank you very much, guys.
They said Senegal.
Oh, thank you very much. After S Solo, I don't care what they say about you. You are the best. Oh, Spencer, you are the best.
That's why you somebody join Weah.
Hey, that's right. Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
Okay, guys. We'll see you.
Thank you, guys. God bless.
Bye-bye.
God bless. Thank you.
We are Liberian. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.